Hey everyone, welcome to the Pre-algebra 7.7 video where we are talking all about simple and compound interest. Alright, so some key definitions for us. Let's talk about principal. Okay, the principal is the initial amount of money that is borrowed or deposited. So if you go to the bank and open up a savings account with $200 to start, 200 is your principal. Or, if you have a loan on a house, from the bank and the amount that you need to borrow is $120,000. Well, that $120,000, that's also principal, okay? So it can mean a couple different things depending on the context, but it's always the initial amount. Interest is just the amount of money that is earned from depositing money. Okay, so if you go to the bank and you put it in a savings account, you're going to earn some interest. The bank wants you to keep your money with them, and so they're going to pay you just a little bit to do that. But it's also the amount that is charged to a person that's borrowing money. So if you borrow money from the bank, to buy a house, right? You don't just get to pay the seller of the house you're buying in increments. Like, you got to pay them all at once. And the way you do that is you go to the bank. You ask for a large amount of money. They give it to you. But the issue is you got to pay the bank back. And while you're paying them back, they're going to charge you interest. So interest can be good if you have a savings account, but it's bad if you're borrowing money because they are basically charging you to borrow their money. Simple interest, okay, is interest that is only calculated based on the principal. All right, so a savings account that has simple interest, they're only going to continue to, basically give you a little bit of money to keep your money with them based on the amount of money that you have in there. Annual interest rate is just the percent of the principal earned or paid per year. Okay, so again, it's a rate, so it's a percent. And then balance is just the amount of money in an account or the amount of money owed at any point in time. So if you go to the bank and they say you have a zero balance on your savings account, that is very, very bad. But if you go to the bank and you ask, okay, well, how much do I have left to pay on my mortgage for my house, right? You borrowed a bunch of money from you. And they're like, oh, you have a zero balance. Well, what does that mean? It means you've paid it all off. The balance on that account is zero, which is really good because you obviously don't want to owe money. So let's talk about simple interest. Okay, so there's a formula for calculating simple interest, and it's I equals PRT. Basically, what we're going to refer to it as is IPERT. Okay, and again, that's for simple interest. So I is the interest, right, that you're gonna be earning. P is going to be the principal. R is going to be the rate. And T is going to be the time that it sits in the account, calculated in years. Okay, so why don't you take a second and why don't you try this one? Move that one out of the way. Why don't you try this one? Okay, so you go and deposit $100 into a savings account that earns 2% simple interest annually. How much interest will be earned after 7 years? And then what will the balance be after those 7 years? So why don't you pause the video and give that one a try, and let's see how you do. All right, so I want to know how much interest will be earned after 7 years. So I'm going to use IPERT. All right, so how much interest? I'm looking for I don't know it. But let's see, P stands for principal. Well, you deposit $100, okay, so into the savings account. So that's your principal. It's the initial amount. Times the rate, well, we got 2% there, but of course we never multiply by percents. We make them into decimals, so you get 0.02 times time, okay? Well, that earns 2% annually. How much interest did it earn after 7 years? So 7. So if you take 100 times 0.02, you end up getting 2, all right? But then you got to take that times 7, and that's 14. So the amount of interest you earn is $14. So what will the balance be after those 7 years? Well, remember, the balance is the amount left in an account after some amount of time. So we initially started with $100. Now we're going to add to it the $14 in interest. So after 7 years, you've got $114. Now let's think about this. You deposited $100, okay, and you left it in the bank for 7 years. So 7 years later, you come back, and you've only got $14. Now, $14, might be a lot to some people, but really, I mean, you're giving the bank, basically, you're giving them $100 for 7 years. And you come back and they've only really given you $14 for it, it's not that great. Now, the unfortunate reality is most savings accounts they're not going to pay you that much interest. They just don't earn that much. You want to earn money, in investing, you probably want to invest in stocks and bonds and stuff like that. A general savings account at the bank isn't really going to pay you much. But the nice thing is about savings account is while they're not going to pay you a whole lot for keeping your money there, it's safe and secure, right? If you invest in stocks, you might lose everything you invest because the stock market could crash or the businesses that you're investing in go down. And then you don't get anything back. So they don't pay you a lot to put your money in a savings account, but it is safe and protected. So there's an upside. All right, so why don't you pause the video and try this one as well, see if you can figure it out, and we'll see how you do, and then we'll keep on rolling. All right, so on your 15th birthday, your parents surprise you by telling you that they opened a savings account for you when you were born. The account has earned $135 in simple annual interest over the last 15 years at a rate of 4.5%. How much did they initially put in the account? So maybe they're going to go, hey, we're not going to give you this money until you actually figure it out. So let's figure that out. Let's get you your money. So what am I going to use here? Well, let's see. It earns simple annual interest, okay, 15 years, a rate of 4.5%. It really seems like, to me, we're going to use IPERT. And so let's see if that's going to work out. Okay, I stands for interest. Do I know the amount of interest? Actually, this time, the account has earned $135 in simple annual interest. I know what I is. Okay, interesting. Let's just keep filling in. Principal. How much did they initially deposit? Well, we know if you initially deposit something, that's the principal. So we actually don't know that. So I'm going to use P for principal there. Okay, times our rate. Do I know the rate? At a rate of 4.5%, so that's 0.045 times time. Well, let's see. They opened it when you were born, and it's on your 15th birthday that they tell you about it, so 15 years have passed. All right, so there were 4 things up here. Now I know 3 of them, and I'm left with 1 variable. So I can solve that. And so we're going to solve that by first multiplying 0.045 times 15. So 0.045 times 15. That's going to get you 0.675. Okay? So 0.675. Let me move this out of the way real quick. And let's see. Okay. What we can do now is that we have P times 0.675. Well, I know if I divided by 0.675, which is the inverse operation of multiplication, I can get rid of it there and P will be by itself. But I have to divide the other side by 0.675 also. So if I take 135 and divide it by 0.675, what I end up getting is this. P equaling $200, okay? So there you go. What was the principal? What did they initially deposit for you? They initially deposited $200. So now what is the balance? Well, if they initially put in $200 and you've earned interest of $135, well, the balance is the initial amount plus the interest you've earned, so that's $335. So happy 15th birthday. You get $335 free dollars that you didn't even know you had. Pretty cool. You have very nice parents. All right, so let's talk about compound interest. Compound interest can be good, it can be bad. So generally, with compound interest, you tend to earn a little bit more. But if you're being charged based on compound interest rate, you're going to be charged more. So it can be good, it can be bad. So the formula, though, for compound interest is A equals P times R times T. Okay, so A is the balance, or the amount you have at any point in time, is equal to P, which again is the principal, times the quantity 1, that's the number 1, plus R, you probably guessed it, is the rate, times T, which is going to be the time. Okay, so what I want to do is have you guys pause the video and try this one, and we'll see how you do. All right, so you deposit $300 into an account that earns 2.4% compound interest annually. Find the balance after 6 years. So let's use our formula of A equals, let's go back up here and reference it, P times 1 plus R to the power of T. And let's see what we can do. So find the balance. Well, A stands for the balance, so that's what we're solving for. P is the principal, okay, the initial amount. Well, you deposit $300, so that's your principal, the initial amount. Times 1 plus R. Well, what's the R? Well, it's rate, and what is 2.4 as a decimal? 0.024, okay, to the power of T. Well, T is for time, and it's 6 years, so we're going to put a 6 up there. All right, so let's do this. Got to obey order of operations on this side. So I have an exponent here, but I also have parentheses, so I need to do what's in there first. 1 plus 0.024 is just 1.024 to the power 6. And so then what I need to do is I need to take 1.024 to the power of 6, and I'm going to have to use my calculator to do that. And so what I get is 300 times, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write these little squigglies, which means approximately. When I take 1.024 times to the power of 6, I get this kind of complex decimal. And it's approximately 1.53, okay? But what I want to do to be most accurate, okay, is actually not multiply 300 times 1.53 next. I'm going to leave this decimal in my calculator, and I'm saying not 1.53, it should be 1.153. Okay, but again, I'm just writing approximately that, so I'm just showing my steps here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave in my calculator what I see, which is 1.152921505. I'm going to leave that and then just hit times 300. That's going to put that thing in there and automatically multiply that times 300. And when I do that, what I end up getting, and again, we're calculating a dollar amount, so I need to round to the nearest cent. It's $345.88. And of course, that's rounded. I got 345.8764514. But talking about money, you need to round to the nearest penny. So there you go. So what I want to do is just show you real quick the contrast between that, and we use over here simple interest, okay? So we remember a simple interest is I equals PRT. So we're going to calculate the interest and then find the balance. So let's use the same information, except instead of compound, we'll do simple. So what's our interest going to be? Well, let's see. Our principal was 300 times our rate, which was 2.4%, so 0.024, times T, 6 years. So if I take 300 times 0.024 times 6, my interest is $43.20. Now, what's my balance, though, after those 6 years? Well, I need to add it back to this initial amount of 300. So the balance here would be 300 plus 43.20, which is $343.20. Now, let's contrast with this over here, okay? So same rate, same amount of time, but here this was compound, here this was simple, and yes, the difference is small, but there is a difference, right? 345.88 versus 343.20. You're making a little bit more money when it's compound interest. Now, it's a small amount, but imagine this. What if instead you were depositing not $300 but $3,000? And instead of leaving it there for 6 years, let's say you left it there for 60 years. Now we're talking about a large amount. And so we'll talk more about that in class, but that's the basics right there, is that compound is going to earn you more money over time, or if you're borrowing money, it's going to charge you more money over time. So you don't want to take out a loan with compound interest if you can help it, but most times you can't. But if you want to open a savings account or any kind of account where you earn money, you do want compound because you want to earn more money over time. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. I will see you in class. We'll talk more about simple and compound interest.